William Yarwood is Media Campaign Manager for the Taxpayers Alliance. Taxpayers, you, me, William, are we getting bang for the buck here, or is this completely out of control? What's your view? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. Thanks so much for having me on the show. And no, I don't think they are. You rightly cited other countries which have done a COVID inquiry in a shorter amount of time in a more cost-effective way. Sweden, also another country that's done it in a more cost-effective and shorter way and actually produced some real results. But from what we've seen from the COVID inquiry, quite frankly, Nick, is tittle-tattle about essentially parliamentary drama. That's all we've heard, really. Ministers sharing WhatsApp messages and the like. I actually think the victims of COVID and the people who died during COVID and people who suffered during COVID deserve a lot better than that. And I don't think they're getting with this inquiry, and they're certainly getting rinsed for their wallets on it. And another thing also, Nick, when we at the Taxpayers Alliance predicted back in May 2024 that this inquiry is going to be north of £200 million, the COVID inquiry themselves said that our analysis and our forecasting was quote unquote flawed. And yeah, I think with yesterday's figures, we've been proven to be actually quite correct. And if not going to be north of £200 million, it's going to be north of more than £200 million.
Any idea how they could rein it in now? Or is it such an enormous beast, it's untamable?
I think there are ways to tame it in. I mean, I think the legal costs alone are quite extortionate. I mean, the cumulative cost by spending of the COVID inquiry at the end of March 2025 on legal costs and solicitors was about £48 million alone, sorry. And also there's so-called, they've spent £22 million on so-called operational and cost-cutting costs. Now, I don't know about you, Nick, but spending £22 million on cost-cutting costs doesn't really sound like cutting costs at all, does it at all? I certainly think there's areas to rein in, certainly, but I don't think that this government's going to do so. I think they're just going to allow it to continue on until June 2026. But again, Nick, this could go on for longer than June 2026, meaning that more and more money is going to be funneled into it, and answers are actually not going to be, questions are not going to be asked, and answers aren't going to be given.
Lastly, and you touched on this, I think, at times, hasn't this just descended into political point scoring? Conservatives saying this about Labour, Labour saying this about Conservatives, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, it has, Nick, and that's a genuine shame. I think a lot of inquiries and a lot of reviews, even though they're set up with good intentions and set up to find out what went wrong in a certain area of the British state, 9 times out of 10, they just become political point scoring arenas for politicians to grandstand and say, well, I didn't do this, they did this, and grandstanding and blah, 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 blah. And unfortunately, you're seeing a little bit of that with the grooming gang inquiry at the moment, where different parties are grandstanding and moralising, when in reality, those poor girls who were brutally groomed deserve better than that. And I also think that people who suffer during COVID deserve better than just political tittle-tattle from their elected politicians. So yeah, it can be done a lot better, Nick, to be honest with you.
William Yarwood is Media Campaign Manager at the Taxpayers Alliance. Thanks for your time.